Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to present to you the all-new, ground-up Interceptor 650 Twin. Here it is.
And here you see the all-new Continental GT 650 parallel twin.
The Interceptor was an absolute legend in its day. It first came around in the 60s. It brought forward, it was the pinnacle, well, of British motorcycling in our history for sure. And it was just the fun days of motorcycling. It was when things were carefree. It was California cool because this is where the bike went. And to tell you a little bit more about the context of the Interceptor, where it came from, what was going on in those days 50 years ago, I call upon Mark Wells. Mark is the head of product strategy and industrial design at Royal Enfield.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, come
There's
on here.
an awful lot of you there.
Tell us more. Tell us what the context was. What was going on with the old Interceptor, which is...
So the Interceptor was a product that was produced by Royal Enfield from the beginning of the 1960s to the end of the 1970s. It was an evolution of the products, the parallel twins that had come before. So the Constellation, the Super Meteor, the Meteor, and then before that, Classic 500 twin, which was first launched in 1948. And the whole point of the Interceptor was to try and to cash into the American market. So on the west coast of America in particular, there was a market there for people looking for bigger bikes that were for leisure rather than just about commuting, bikes that kind of encaptured the whole, flat track feel, the whole desert races, things like the Big Bear races that happen in California. You can see up here, this is one of our Mark II Interceptors from, this would have been from 69, something like that. Absolutely gorgeous motorcycles.
Summer of 69.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with this product, we really wanted to capture the essence, the fun, the kind of, the confidence that came from those bikes. And that's what we've tried to capture in this product. And you can see, we've taken styling cues from those bikes. We've tried to
Did you want it to make it the same, Mark? I mean, do you just look at that and say we want to make exactly that, or how does it work? I mean, it's 50 years later.
Absolutely, it's 50 years later, and we didn't want to make a pastiche or a poor copy. We wanted something that was modern and up to date and usable and accessible for our customers. But we wanted to capture the essence of what was great about those bikes and what people of my father's generation thought were fun, and that doesn't change. That universal truth is always the same. So with this bike, that high bar position, that flat-footedness, that easy riding stance, we made a bike that's very accessible, very easy to ride, very fun to ride, nimble, agile. That's and we're super pleased with what we've got from it.
Yes, we are.
And let's not forget this baby here. This is my personal favorite, the 650 parallel twin Continental GT, and this has its own history. I mean, the fact is that in the 50s and 60s, the cafe racing culture created a revolution of its own. You had young people, and there's a similar pattern to what I was talking about earlier. You had young people post-war that started working again, and they wanted a avenue for self-expression. And the cafe racing culture of the 50s and 60s brought that out.
And don't forget, Rudy, we were absolutely central to that. So if you think of that famous image of the Daily Mirror with the Suicide Club, that slightly sensational headline. Coming out of the middle of that was a chap on a Constellation, and so Royal Enfield was right at the whole core of that culture.
Absolutely, Mark. And what started off with the 250cc Cafe Racer 4-stroke in the 60s, we revived that in 2013, as you know, with the Continental GT 535cc UP single. And maybe, Mark, you should tell us why we brought the Cafe Racer back with the parallel twin.
So we wanted to evolve the bike. We wanted to give it a little bit more go. We wanted to make it, we've changed the proportion a little bit. So we've lowered the stance a little. We've brought the rider forward a little bit, shortened the tank a little bit, and we've worked really hard on the details. So things like the top yoke, we've put a lot of love and care into to make sure that looks just right. And I think that the outcome we're really pleased with. I think it looks great. You know,
It looks similar, doesn't it? I mean, but are the parts the same, or?
it looks similar, but no, this is pretty much 90%, 95% brand new.
yeah.
I think maybe the tail light lens is carryover. Other than that, everything else is new.
And I remember 2013, the cafe racing culture, we tried to re-establish it, and what it did was it made a lot of other young people who found Royal Enfield cool buy into a product. We got a lot more people who started finding Royal Enfield very cool. It really got more people into our stores.
And that's, you know, with both of these bikes, we're trying to create something that, for people that love the brand, that need that little bit extra, they want something more from us. They love our classics, but perhaps, you know, they don't quite do what they want from them. And we're trying to give them options with images. So effectively, you know, we're offering the same bike in two, you know, really interesting and evocative flavors, I guess.
Yeah, and at the heart of both of these is the all-new, it looks very vintage, but it's all-new 650 parallel twin. What we wanted to do was make sure that it has all the modern bits and technology and parts and processes that are required to meet the modern day requirements of reliability, of consistency, of emission norms. You got to meet Euro 4, we got to meet Euro 5, we got to meet BS6. So you got to meet all the modern requirements of legislation, of customers, quality, dependability. We've done all of that, yet it was very important for us to keep the old school idea of motorcycling alive. It needs to fit into this motorcycle. It needs to be a successor to the Interceptor. And what that meant was that it must sound gorgeous. It must look the way it does. And it should have the kind of response that our customers are looking for. And our customers, our current customers, they absolutely love the low-end grunt and the low-end torque that our current singles provide them, which are scattered around at the back. But what we had to do with this one was to provide that low-end torque that our customers so love, but also give them a mid-range, let's say, torque and power. And
I think that's what's great about the engine is the way it delivers the power throughout the road. So it's really nice and accessible. It's I guess from our current bikes, from our 350 and our 500, these aren't a big step up, but they give you so much more. And that's what we really wanted to do, something that was accessible, that our customers could see that next step with.
And it's air-cooled. We love air-cooled.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
And it's absolutely air-cooled. And to tell you more about this new engine, I call upon Simon Warburton. Simon, welcome, Simon. Simon heads product development at Royal Enfield for the last 3 years or so. And he runs the UK Tech Centre. We have 125 people now in the UK. And Simon is, of course, he runs the Chennai Tech Centre as well. He's the head of product development. But Simon, tell us a bit more about the engine. How do you balance the modern and the classic, and then how do you make it do what it's supposed to do?
Well, that's it. What we wanted to get was obviously an engine with the right character and looking right, and that's not so straightforward. So, saying you need an engine with the right character is easy to say. Exactly what that means, we know it's important, but it's hard to define. So we went to a lot of lengths. I mean, we built those 3 fully prototyped engines that didn't look nice at all, but we could put them in bikes, we could ride them, we could try the different crank configurations, so 360, 180, 270, and work out, and feel the power, torque, and power and torque curves, and just be confident that what we're doing is the right thing before we embark on the full production representative engine.
I think the other thing we got from that was the noise, the sound and the character of the engine was really critical. And so building those 3 engines early on gave us the opportunity to experiment a little bit and decide, what was the best configuration.
There's no substitute for riding. You've got to ride what it is. So, I mean, Sid touched on some other elements of challenges. Obviously, it's got to look nice. Technically, it's not air-cooled, it's oil-cooled.
Air oil-cooled, sorry.
Getting that configuration and engine through Euro 4, Euro 5 is a real challenge. So the guys have worked extremely hard, and it is a very modern engine under a very classic-looking, beautiful shell. So detail, the port design, injector positioning, combustion chamber, temperature control, all that is what makes it a thoroughly modern engine inside that will take us through the next few years.
Why do you choose a 270 crank? I mean, what was the idea behind that?
Well, it was just that. I mean, there's a couple of benefits. There's a character, and again, hard to define, but it gave us the right feel. Yeah. It also helps, getting rid of the unpleasant vibrations. So you get the good vibrations from the power pulses, and don't start singing. And that takes away.
But you've got a balancer shaft as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, the balancer shaft certainly helps. It doesn't take away all of your secondary vibrations. The 270 crank does that. So a 270 crank gives you a smoother engine. That's it.
All right.
Mathematically.
What about the gearbox and the clutch and all that?
Exactly. So the bottom end is also completely modern. So you've got a really completely modern 6-speed gearbox, light change. You've got a slip assist clutch, which nobody had ever heard of back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously the main use of this bike is not going to be backing it into corners, controlling your braking, but the main benefit it gives for us is it gives you a much lighter clutch. So any of that town riding, which a lot of our customers will do, it just makes life so much easier.
And that comes back to the whole, the whole part of this is it being accessible and usable.
Yeah, absolutely.
These aren't motorcycles you can't use every day, so...
Yeah, and I must give a word to the industrial designers, because, obviously, the look of the engine, since you've forgotten, so the look of the engine is so important, and one of the big benefits we have in the way we're set up is we have this in-house industrial design team who work, hand in glove with engineers, right from the start of the project, to make sure that we don't have to fudge something later. The two work together to give an engine that just looks right and doesn't need, too much.
And this engine has been, of course, there's been an enormous collaboration between our UK tech centers, our Chennai tech centers.
Absolutely.
And across these two centers is how we've created this. But going back to the motorcycles, right? These two motorcycles have a very different attitude. Yeah. That one is the GT. I mean, you tuck in, you've got your feet a little bit at the back. You want to just give it more go. You want to give it more go. And this one is, and it was always designed to be California cool, right? It's nimble, it's great, but it's a bit more relaxed in a way. So how do you, when you look at but the rolling chassis is identical. I mean, these are two, how do you do that? I mean, you're catering to two different products. You have different markets. You've got the Indian market. You've got markets around the world which are entirely different. So how do we make a single chassis, a single specification of product which works across the world, really?
Well, it's certainly more challenging for the chassis design teams, no question. But the way you do it is what you're doing right from the start. So at every stage of the development, you've got these two different configurations. And the way you give them a different feel is, ergonomics is what tells you what kind of bike you're on. You sit on a bike, you can be blindfolded, you've got a good idea what it looks like, what kind of bike it is, just from where your hands are, where your feet are, where your bum is. Yeah. And the point about different conditions is that we're in a fairly unique position with these two technology centres, from India and the UK. We have a good insight into the conditions in India and Europe. Between those two, you've pretty much got the world covered. So
and Spain. You guys love riding in Spain.
And Spain. Well,
they always from UK. They're always going to Spain to test ride their bikes. I don't know why.
Well, the same reason Brits go to Spain. Yeah, it's warm, it's dry. Yeah,
that's
what you kind of need. Yeah,
I love the word attitude, Sid, because I think the same thing that you said, that while the engine is one, the attitudes and personalities are really, really different. And while the motorcycles, these two beauties, are creating pure motorcycling attitude, what I'm very proud to say also is that we've got the pure motorcycling lifestyle also being brought to life with Samrat and Team Samrat. Raise your hand. There he is. He's our in-house stylist and designer and business head for apparel.
And
gear.
He makes all these gorgeous jackets.
He does all of that.
All the clothes and
I must say, we've really come a long way in the last few years to really build almost the same philosophy with which we've built our motorcycles are also being seen in the way we build our apparel and accessory range. Some of it you see here, and some of it you'll see at the back, and you'll see a lot more online and later when we are in the market. But it's the same philosophy of being versatile, having fundamentally motorcycling protection, performance, but also having a style of pure old school motorcycling. So you can live the lifestyle of pure motorcycling beyond the motorcycle itself as well. You can go to work in it, you can go to parties, you can do your own everything, and you can ride. It's got that protection and versatility in it. And that's not all. I'm also very proud to say that if you see the motorcycles that you have around us,
those two there in particular,
we've also got genuine motorcycle accessories on these motorcycles, which will be available along with the motorcycles when they go into retail. And really, what I'm really proud about is the fact that the development and design and development and validation of our motorcycle accessories was done along with the development of the motorcycle. And that's something we are very proud of. But maybe, Mark, you can talk about a few things that make the whole self-expression come out through our motorcycle accessories.
So I think just very quickly, I'll talk about the accessories and I'll also talk about our approach to colour trim and graphic with these bikes. So you can see on on my right, your left, we have the Interceptor here, and this is in our more classical vintage colour scheme. This is very 1970s with that strong pop orange.
And the lovely badge.
And the lovely badge, and yeah, absolutely.
Straight from the 60s, yeah.
And then
not that one.
on my and then my left, we've got the GT. And this is done in the more custom colorway. So we've got the black rims, which just look so cool. The two-tone paint job. And you can see the two bikes down there again. So the customized blue GT is again in that more classical style. And then we've got the two-tone. And on the Interceptor, the custom color scheme just looks really really contemporary, very much at the moment. So in terms of accessories, I guess the biggest accessory on the GT is the single seat. So this is a single seat accessory. The bike will come with a twin seat, which we're not quite ready with yet. Yeah. But you know, there's no chopping of the subframe. There's no difficult customization to do. You just unclip the twin seat and clip the single seat on, and you then get that lovely shortened proportion that is in between the two wheel axles. That's very much the essence of Cafe Racer, and that's an important part of this is that ability to customize easily. So we've also got on the customized bike down there's a fly screen, there's fork leg gaiters. We've also got clip-on bars, so there's much lower clip-on bars on this one. On the Interceptor, there's a fly screen there's a sump guard, we've got engine guards.
You mentioned the silencers.
Oh, yeah, of course, on all the bikes, well done, Simon, all the bikes have got S&S silencers. We're entering into a partnership with S&S to develop genuine motorcycle accessories. So I'm sure I've missed some out. I think on the Interceptor there's a really nice little dog bone detail for the top yoke, for the handlebar clamp.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, and for those who have both personalities and want to buy both bikes, I might be one of them. Many of these accessories are modular, which means that you can actually
interchangeable,
barring maybe the seats and a few handlebars. Most of the accessories are actually modular.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah. So if you wanted to put the GTC on an Interceptor, we could do that. That's entirely doable. So yeah, it's
ladies and gentlemen, before we continue and we sign off, and we've got questions and all of that, I want to show you a quick film about the development process and the entire idea behind the Interceptor 650 and the Continental GT 650.
Okay.
Yeah, so at Royal Enfield, we try not to do too much. We try and do a few things, but we want to do them exceptionally well. We're not about super fast motorcycles, we're not about heavy cruisers, we're not about a lot of things. We're about simple, old school, great fun motorcycles. And for us, this new project, the 650 Twin, has been an absolute dream for years, maybe even over a decade.
So these are Royal Enfield's first twin-cylinder motorcycles in a very long time. The GT 650 Twin and the Interceptor 650 Twin that has true highway capability, exciting handling.
So we wanted to create something that was agile and nimble and quick steering and have fun on. They feel really fun. They're really great fun to throw around.
It's a difficult question to answer from an engineering perspective. Trying to interpret what product strategy you see as fun, then that is quite a big challenge because it's an all-encompassing word. This is a bit of a first for Royal Enfield as a company, and it has to have that Royal Enfield character, be a little bit different.
So the Interceptor has a more upright ride position. It's more like a roadster style. And the GT is an authentic cafe racer, so it's got kind of that more tucked in and leaned over riding position.
Yeah, so we put a lot of time and energy in making sure that this is a very accessible motorcycle.
It's a step change, isn't it, in terms of performance for Royal Enfields in the modern era, and we need to make sure that we give them that level of performance, but it's not too intimidating and it's approachable.
These bikes have to work all around the world in every market. So the way somebody rides a motorcycle in the UK and India is very, very different. We take all those inputs and have to try and create all that into one single motorcycle.
We've had an extended development program for these motorcycles.
It's been a big project, and it's gone through many, many stages.
They are iterative changes that you go through step by step. The bike becomes more production representative.
I think the biggest challenge for us was developing the motorcycle to meet the performance and quality levels that we wanted to achieve.
The bikes are getting tested in India, Indian road conditions, in UK conditions, as well as on the Idiada track in Spain.
Yeah, there has been some good step changes along the way.
One of the best parts about the job is, you get to go out there and try and break everything. Try and make it do something wrong, so then we've got something to improve.
That's the sort of extremes we go to. It covers all bases of rider level and experience.
The standout part is the chassis is just a really nice, fun motorcycle to ride.
They're powerful, they handle, they perform beautifully, but they're also very accessible, very easy.
This is absolutely the most fun motorcycle in the entire world, and I've been riding a lot.
To make a motorcycle, go around a corner and put a smile on your face, that is something that you can do from an engineering perspective. Make it handle well, make it feel good, make it have good feedback from the road, and that generally as a rider puts a smile on your face. And I think this bike is a great fun bike to ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't wait to get you onto these motorcycles. We've been riding them for years now, and we just can't wait for you to experience what we've been experiencing and to have the joy that we've been having. And along with our existing motorcycles, our classics, our 350s, our 500s, and of course the Himalayan, the 410, all the singles that we have, we believe this is a new start for Royal Enfield. It's a
new chapter.
It's a new chapter.
Yep.
in our progress, and these twins, we believe, will herald the future of Royal Enfield into markets around the world, and we're delighted and excited about it, and yeah, we should hopefully get all of you onto these bikes very soon. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And of course, we're open for some questions now, whenever you like. Simon?
Come.
Oh, beg your pardon.
This is where you come in.
I thought I was going to get away with that.
So any questions, ladies and gentlemen? We've got a couple of microphones here.
Accessible, very accessible, and very and soon, not so soon, but soon. Yeah. Well, we want to, again, we're in the last stages of getting these bikes into production, and we want to make sure that we take it step by step. Approximately April is when we see these motorcycles hitting the first markets, but through 2018, they will be available across the world. That's what we currently believe. And
bit of work left to do, but yeah.
Bit of work left to do.
There always is.
And how much?
There always is, yeah.
You'll be positively surprised, but we don't have a number yet.
Sid, originally a lot of discussion was about this bike being a 750. It's ended up being a 650. At what point was that decision made? You must have gone down the road for testing a 750 at some stage.
At early concept stage, it was actually a 600, not a 750 ever. And in order to, and again, this was always, we didn't want to enter into a crowded market. We believe the 750, 800 is a relatively crowded market. But that's one part. The more important part is that we have 2.5 million customers in India. And some of them absolutely love their single and they don't want to part with it ever and all of that. But there are a few who say we want a bit more. but they still want something accessible. So they want something which is a step up in power, in performance, in price, in everything else. And it's that one step up that we wanted to make sure they did. But we went from 600 to 650 because we want to make sure that we could cross a ton on this motorcycle, right?
Which we do.
Which we do now, yeah.
And really the pure motorcycling, our core purpose is to say, how do we progress people from into pure motorcycling? And that was our objective. We never really started from a displacement or planning or a 750 or benchmarking with outside the company. We have, like Siddharth said, we have consumers who already ride Royal Enfields, and for us, the first focus was progression. And the progression is both ways. We do see that there is a convergence that's going to happen, like I was saying earlier. There's a convergence of people who are using, in our view, unevocative commuter motorcycles, progressing them up the ladder, and there are enough and more people in developed markets progressing them to everyday evocative motorcycling, and that's what this product fitted.
And I think for this market, obviously the power output is absolutely right for an A2 license. So for a 19-year-old on a motorcycle, you know, if we'd gone bigger, would we have had that? You know, so I think this is exactly the right place to be. And
it's important that this is a single spec around the world. Of course, there'll be minor changes because of the headlamp throw and other things, but basically it's one spec for the entire world. And
we have a global spec,
We've taken the highest spec in every country that we could find, and we've built to that specification, and that motorcycle is what will sell everywhere in the world.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
All right. Yep.
Hello, everybody. Just one question. Will you launch it firstly in Europe or in India?
We believe, as of now, it's first in Europe, and then subsequently, when we start building as many bikes as we need to serve the Indian market, we will launch in India.
Yes, as this is a beginner-friendly motorbike, also, what is the approximate curb weight going to be? Can you say?
Sub 200, isn't it?
Sub 200, yeah.
Sub 200 kilos. Yeah, you'll have a press kit with all the details in it?
Yep. And I think the important thing is it's not just sub 200 kilos, but the way the bike rides, it carries its weight low down, it feels nimble and agile, so it actually feels, you know, lighter than that again. The way it changes direction is just great. So
it was important for us that you could plant your feet firmly on the ground when you're riding this motorcycle as well, and you can do that. Yeah.
Well, if I can, most people can.
Simon can. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Oh, last one. One more.
Can you start the engine, please?
1 second, wait.
Not today, but very soon.
I don't think there's any fuel.
Yeah, not today.
Sorry, not today, but we'll play the film again. It's got the engine sound and all of that going ahead.
But it sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
it sounds brilliant.
It does. It sounds brilliant. It's got the air-cooled 270-degree, and we've really worked hard on making it sound nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much. It was an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you very much, and we'll play the film once again. Thanks. All right. Should we take these off?
Yeah.
Okay, take it off first.